They can specify their definitions. They can take away my rights. But there's one thing that they'll never be able to take from me.
I don't like clowns.
A master of moral degeneracy and
my fellow degenerates.
This is a message from an OG lesbian. The acronym LGBTQ+ is not a representation of a united community, but the strategic forced teaming of the LGB with the TQ+ that serves a dark agenda to rebrand sexual fetishes and disorders as sexual orientations. For what was once a legitimate civil rights movement, gay rights, has been hijacked quite literally by the TQ+ and used as a Trojan horse to mainstream their degeneracy. First, we have the untouchable Ts, the trans cult, who want to sterilise children with puberty blockers, turn all homosexuals into surgical simulations of straight people, and destroy women's rights to enable men's fetishes. Then we have the Qs, young men feminised by sissy furries and pups who fetishise beasts, and even adult babies who fetishise infancy are all accepted and protected by the rainbow umbrella that magically transforms all scrutiny into bigotry. But the thing that requires the most scrutiny is the unspecified plus at the end, a placeholder for what's coming next. MAPS, or minor attracted people, a euphemism that is already being used to describe who are waiting in the wings for their time to shine. Because the LGBTQ+ is not about promoting tolerance of diversity. It's about grooming society to accept depravity. And as an L, I renounce all association with it and the LGBs who are accessories to the fact. And I urge you to do the same and join the movement for LGB without the TQ+, because we need to divorce people and we need it stat.
yeah, imagine that.
Degeneracy.
Which leads to more
Degeneracy.
I'll burn in hell. Hell sake! Really afraid of authenticity and people being their own true selves? You're afraid of love? You're afraid of solidarity? Y'all are crazy. Absolutely crazy.
She's calling others crazy, bless. And the lefties are turning on each other. It seems even members of the LGBTQIA++ community fail to be sufficiently sensitive to pronoun preferences.
It is one thing to get misgendered by like straight cis people, but it is another thing going into a queer space and getting nothing but misgendered there. Like that pisses me off so bad. I was at the gay bar last night. The gay bar is always the scene of the crime, okay? And I'm in line waiting for the bathroom, and like there's stalls and there's urinals, right? And like anybody that's using the urinal, I just let them go in front of me, and then I'm waiting for a stall. And some guy comes out and he's like, he says something about the urinals, and he was like, oh, you're waiting for the stall? And I was like, yes, I am. And he was like, and that is a woman's right. What gave him the audacity to say that to me?
The devil's playground, where the sinners are winners.
You've probably heard about this Supreme Court's ruling on the definition of the word woman. This will have some real serious implications. It will have some consequences. But I want to tell you one thing. They can make their laws. They can specify their definitions. They can take away my rights. But there's one thing that they'll never be able to take from me, and that's who I am. I'm a trans woman, and I'm proud, and they'll never be able to take that from me.
Please stop talking about this court decision that was made yesterday about the definition of what a woman is and framing it within a victory for a feminist context. It is not. Those people are like leftovers from the 1980s. They are exclusionary feminists. They are nothing to do with the modern feminist movement. And this is absolutely not a victory for women's rights. You realise what you have done. You know, we now all have to prove that we are women in order to get the services that we feel most comfortable in. Technically, I will have to prove that I'm a woman to be able to be searched by a female officer if I'm arrested by the police. I mean, you can say, well, you look like a woman and you sound like a woman, but so do a lot of my trans female friends. And what about my friends who have got polycystic ovary syndrome and are a little bit hairy about the face? What about my friends who are quite tall and well built with square jaws and look a little bit masculine? What about them? This is not a victory for women's rights. This is a victory for the patriarchy.
Yep, that's the argument. That's how desperate and illogical they're getting. That's what they think is a winning argument in this debate.
Operating at this primitive level.
Heinous act, murder, that was conducted, and even that's being wrapped up along racial lines, which has nothing to do with it. The spokesperson, Dominique Alexander, that they hired, he himself has a criminal record. He's a convicted felon from 2011.
That was disrespectful and just shows you all the character who is not invited. He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family, but he did it. And so I say to people, actions speak louder than words.
He's out there with some nerve saying the things that he said, kicking out the father, and then the mother wrapping all of that up. Again, no awareness at all or even acknowledgement of what the actual victim's family is going through. It's beyond me. I thought most things wouldn't shock me anymore, but this one shocks me too.
It really just shows a sickness that exists in America right now with those who are just race obsessed and they want to look at this through a racial filter, and they just cannot cope with the fact that the victim here happened to be white, the aggressor happened to be black. That shouldn't be the issue. It should be the fact there is a teenage boy who's dead, who died in his twin brother's arms.
Ashamed of?
Nothing.
Offended by everything.
Relax. Ooh.
It is a messed up world.